So what they're doing is ejaculating condoms, and then they're putting the condoms inside the girl, and she is apparently enjoying this process as well.
It's kind of fucked up. It's kind of disturbing.
It's kind of fucked up, but it's just like, again, it's just drawing.
Oh boy, this is gonna be one hell of a video to record. Tonight, a woman says something stupid. Another woman says something stupid. And I spill beer everywhere. Alright, so, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Retard Review, the series where if you play stupid games, you're gonna win stupid prizes. And one of the stupidest games you can play on the internet that we're gonna talk about today is being pro-lolicon. Now, I don't think it's a controversial take that if you're aroused by sexual drawings of underage anime girls, you are most likely a pedophile. In fact, I'm gonna go out on the whim and say that it is an objectively correct take. However, there is a big community on the internet which endorses, supports, and defends those kind of drawings and has their delusional opinions reinforced by equally delusional VTubers. Now, the clip you saw at the beginning was from a stream by VTuber Pipkin Pippa, where she and fellow VTuber Kirsha reacted to a Vice documentary criticizing the lolicon industry in Japan, where such material is legal. I wanted to talk about this topic because it recently flared up again when YouTuber Bularki made fun of lolicon VTuber Shondo and her fans for being utter degenerates, and this Vice documentary reaction video serves as a sort of inside look into what drives these people to defend, well, what is essentially drawn CP. But before we start, I should probably let some light in because I know lolicons are scared of that, and I don't want them to try and brigade my fucking video. Alright, that seems like a pretty good amount of light, so let's get right into the reaction.
In the US, just owning a magazine with animated child porn can get you up to 15 years in prison and label you a sex offender for life.
Why are you showing it then?
But not here.
If you think this is child porn, why are you showing it?
If you think that's CP, why are you showing it to us?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can already get a taste for the level of intellect, or lack thereof, that we're dealing with here. I remember when 60 Minutes Australia did a piece about Peter Scully, and they briefly broadcast a bit of Daisy's destruction. Does that mean that the creators of this episode are pedophiles? No, they're just trying to show what kind of material was created, and how bad this material is. Turkey Tom showed some of Shaman's drawings in his video about him. Does that mean that Turkey Tom is suddenly a closet pedophile? No, that's retarded.
Child pornography was finally banned in Japan in 2014. Publishers lobbied to keep animated child porn legal, arguing that artists' freedom of speech is protected.
I really hate how they call it animated child porn.
It feels so fucking... It's deliberate.
It's so disingenuous.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Does it depict pornography featuring adult characters or underage characters? Because one of those is okay and can be used as regular good material, and the other is, well, drawn CP. It's disgusting. It should be illegal. How are you going to call the presentation of this subject matter as disingenuous when the very definition of lolicon is erotic or suggestive artwork depicting underage girls? Ergo, CP.
So this story is about a young high schooler,
fucked up.
and she's getting gang raped by a bunch of high school boys. So what they're doing is ejaculating condoms, and then they're putting the condoms inside the girl, and she is apparently sexually enjoying this process as well.
It's kind of fucked up. It's kind of disturbing.
It's kind of fucked up, but it's just like, again, it's just drawing, and like his art style makes it look a lot weirder.
I bet this is the kind of person who, back when Shaman was still relevant, would look at him making drawings of Keemstar's underage daughter, Lieutenant Corbus, or Daphne Keane from Logan, and she would be like, yeah, I see nothing wrong with this material. I think it's perfectly acceptable and should be allowed in our society. It really amazes me how far some of these retards will go to defend lolicon material, to the point that it defies all logic and common sense.
In 2024, it's still legal to own anime and manga child pornography. And let me tell you, it is a booming industry.
It's so misrepresentative. She's doing this on purpose, or she's just ignorant. I'm more inclined to say it's ignorance because she's kind of stupid. Like, for saying this while having a bunch of animation in the background and like Pokemon and shit.
It's not misrepresentative. What are you talking about?
Baba Booey.
Again, we're talking about material that is defined as erotic drawings featuring children. By extension, that is child pornography. Also, you can't be a fan of Pokemon and anime without also being a supporter of lolicon. I seriously don't understand what she's trying to say here.
Even if you've been watching anime since Pokemon first aired in the 1990s in the US, and you speak Japanese, they will still call you a tourist who doesn't know anything about anime. Like, I've been watching it longer than a lot of these people have been alive. So despite all of that, these people will still call you a tourist who doesn't deserve to have an opinion because you think it's wrong that a lot of anime sexualizes children.
It's like saying that you can't be a gamer without playing Persona 5, or that you can't be a rap fan without also appreciating the genius of Playboi Carti's I Am Music.
Walked in the woods.
Finally, music that deaf people can listen to. I'll address that as just a drawing argument in a more fleshed out manner a bit later, but for now, let's just keep watching.
The thing is, like, presenting this, like, this extreme as, like...
Normal?
Yeah, like, this is, like, the average thing that's going on. Like, come on.
Yeah.
No.
This is definitely not average, and I definitely don't see...
This is a niche.
Comparable to just like regular lolly.
Yeah.
Oh, this material, well, it's just an extreme anomaly, and it does represent what the rest of the lolicon material is about. The rest of the stuff, it's all cool and appropriate. Again, the whole lolicon medium is founded upon sexualized depictions of children. You can literally look up the word on Wikipedia, and the instant result is a drawing of young girls wearing lingerie. Like, yeah, that's totally cool and not at all pedo-coded. You're also gonna notice with these people that even though they take the bullet for lolicon and say that it's not synonymous with pedophilia, they themselves make pornographic shit involving minors a big part of their online identity. For example, when Balarky was going through people on Twitter criticizing his take on Shondo, he analyzed their profiles and the results were not really surprising.
Eat that Cunny445 tweeting you. Are you serious? He said race mixing should be illegal, just look at this mongrel. So we're getting racist now. Also, if you don't know what cunny is, I can't literally explain it on YouTube because I will get demonetized.
Yeah, that's what that word means. And considering that they primarily use that word when talking about young anime characters, it just gives more credibility to the idea that they're pedophiles. Now, I actually went to this guy's Twitter account, which I honestly suggest you don't do for yourself. Because if you scroll down just a little bit, you will see that he retweeted a gif of what looks like an anime child being penetrated. Dude, I swear, it was a mistake for doctors to stop performing lobotomies on people like this. They also retweet a post promoting this manga about kissing a girlfriend's little sister, which again speaks volumes about how totally not insane they are.
It's really jarring to remember that the people who will call out like the pedophilic manga industry or say that, you know, all lolicon are pedophiles and whatnot, they're typically the people who defend things like the movie's Cuties as well.
What? I don't know what evidence she has of this, maybe she would like to elaborate, but I'm certain that the vast majority of people who don't like lolicon also don't like the movie Cuties. The only people I've seen defend Cuties are Sneeko and Mr. Girl, the former of whom probably has a child bride imprisoned in Dubai, and the latter of whom looks like a stereotypical Redditor. She's obviously trying to falsely equate lolicons to closet pedophiles, saying that people who say they don't like lolicon are actually just projecting and secretly want to f kids. Now, she bases this on a small number of cases of people who were publicly anti-lolicon and were then outed as child predators. So, according to her infinite genius, the minority represents the majority. I mean, sure, let's run with that logic. Let's say that all manga creators are pedophiles just because there have been cases of them either being caught possessing CP or caught doing actually inappropriate stuff with kids. I mean, according to you, Kirsha, the actions of a smaller group represent the actions of the larger group. So that means every weekend, a bunch of these manga writers go to a mansion in some fuckware region of Japan and engage in orgies with captive kids. kids. This whole argument about anti-lolicons being the real pedos is just a load of anecdotal bullshit that doesn't hold any real weight. Because for every one anti-lolicon who ends up being outed as a degenerate, there's around 100 Mr. Cynicals who make all the generic pro-lolicon statements and then brag about going to Thailand to have sex with children.
Another time that I was getting drunk and I started talking about, like, everyone's like, oh, you rape these children, you rape these children. I'm like, no, it's fuck rape, you know. That guy.
Well, you still fucked him, right?
Yeah, I had sex with him.
So this guy openly defends Drawn CP and admits to fucking a child, but apparently I'm the real pedophile because I think that the former is disgusting. Okay. Yeah, I can see that we have reached a point in the history of the human civilization where logic has completely died.
Is there a link between this material and instances of real abuse against children?
It's impossible to measure how it's affecting child abuse. But I think the impact is quite big. It condones child grooming and also child abuse.
Isn't this the same, like, video games cause violence argument? Like, literally the same thing?
I think it is. It's the same argument. Like, I can see where it's coming from, but fundamentally, it's the same argument.
Now, on paper, this sounds like a good argument. But when you actually dive into the differences between the two, you start to realize the stupidity of it. When you look at pornography, experience sexual arousal, and engage in intercourse, your brain releases a cocktail that includes chemicals like dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin, etc. When you kill an enemy in video games, your brain also releases dopamine, but if you kill someone in real life, your brain releases adrenaline and undergoes a bunch of complex psychological procedures that force you to reckon with what you've done. I found this Time article called Here's What Happens in the Brain When People Kill, which I suggest you read for yourself. But basically, a psychologist had 48 people watch 3 video scenarios in a loop. One showing a soldier killing an enemy, another one showing him killing a civilian, and the last one showing him firing his weapon but hitting no one. At the end of each loop, they were asked who they chose to shoot and had to pick an option by pressing one of the 3 buttons on a keypad. After that, they were asked to rate on a 1 to 7 scale how guilty they felt in each scenario. One of the conclusions was that when soldiers picked to kill the civilian, the orbitofrontal cortex area of the brain, which is responsible for moral sensitivity, making moral judgments, and behavioral choices, surged in activity, meaning the participant felt guilty for what they did. The point that I'm trying to make here is that murdering someone in real life results in very different psychological processes than murdering someone in a video game. It is also safe to say that people will seek out to have sexual intercourse based on what they gratify themselves with in order to get that dopamine release they get from watching porn. And most people won't kill someone in real life just because they saw that in a video game, since it doesn't give them the same amount of pleasure. Meaning that not only is there no argument that video games cause violence, but also that it's not comparable to lolicon consumption.
We've made a society in which children are forced to learn from experience early on that they have sexual value.
I don't remember being taught as a child that I have sexual value, so I'm not really sure what she means by that. I don't think I can really speak on behalf of, like, what's happening in Japan culturally, which is where that woman's coming from.
Yeah.
But like in the US, there's definitely a push to, like, hypersexualize children, and yet the same people who would be okay with that are against, like, the manga stuff.
Again, more false equivalent that goes completely unchallenged. Sure, there may be degenerates like that, but they're a minority, because the vast majority of people oppose both the sexualization of real-life children and lolicon. I mean, the Republicans are against sexual pride events and drag shows that allow children, and in Texas, they voted for a bill that will ban material like lolicon, which has obscene depictions of children. So yes, you can be against both, and they know that, but they don't want to say it, because then their argument that anti-lolicons are closet pedophiles falls apart. She also seems to be trying to distract from the issue by engaging in whataboutism. Well, yeah, sure, Japan does allow drawn material that sexualizes kids, and they also only criminalized CP in 2014, but have you seen what's going on in America? Now, in this portion of the video, Kirsha and Pippa are reacting to Vice interviewing an actual pedophile, and he says that him becoming addicted to lolicon resulted in him assaulting 11 children. Let's see what they say.
I started reading these manga often. and more and more, my desire to sexually assault children increased. Could this not also be your hormones from developing, right? Like, if you started reading these, you were in middle school, you were sexually attracted to children before this. Like, I'm not trying to, like, make excuses or whatever, but, like, the logical line of reasoning here is you got older and your sexual desires increased. Probably because your hormones were increasing.
Here's the problem with their argument. The guy clearly had a porn addiction, he did nothing to treat it, he eventually translated that into assaulting actual children, and now they're downplaying it. Even if your hormones are developing, you can still avoid becoming porn addicted. You can go to therapy, you can take special medication, you can download apps like Twitter, which are especially built to help porn addicts get rid of their bad habits. As the guy said, he became addicted to reading magazines with inappropriate depictions of children, and inevitably, he tried to get that dopamine release again by taking his aggression out on a child. Yes, he had low self-control, but that kind of material still helped him normalize the idea that having sex with children is okay. I mean, Japan's age of consent until recently was 13. In that kind of environment, and with these kinds of degenerate laws, and these perverted magazines being published, it's enough to twist a person's perception of reality and moral compass.
They're likely conditioned to become pedophiles through Japanese society? Oh my god.
What the fuck?
Self-hating, Jesus Christ.
That's okay. Like, I can understand from the perspective of like things that I have read, from the perspective of listening to that weird pedophile guy who's assaulted children and is for some reason not locked up, that there's possibly something wrong with their court system that I, as like an outsider, wouldn't really know. But I can't say that like Japanese society on whole is broken and conditions people to become pedophiles, because that seems like demonizing an entire culture of people that doesn't seem to have a culture of child exploitation.
This really shows how much these people actually know what they're talking about. At least Kirsche admits that she's retarded, so I'll give her that. If you want evidence that Japan has an innate problem with the lack of care for child safety, you can look not just at Lolicon, but also again at the fact that CP possession was not illegal until 2014. But even then, the punishment is imprisonment for up to a year and a fine of $10,000. Also, Japan's laws targeting child predators are much more lax compared to the ones in the US. For example, they're only now developing a legal mechanism that would enable background checks to prevent sex offenders from working in places like schools and kindergartens managed by the National Children and Families Agency. And even then, they are not outright prevented from applying for another job in places which aren't part of this background check system. So that gives them an open window to allow them to re-offend. You can also look at the popularity of child idols, where girls as young as 10 perform in front of a bunch of middle-aged men in very tight clothing. Yeah, definitely a sign of a very healthy society. Speaking of problems in Japanese culture, do you recall that clip of that streamer reacting to Rev Says Deso? Well, both she and Rev make the 1000 IQ point that it's wrong for people in the West to judge Japanese cultural standards.
If you don't like certain aspects of anime or manga or just fictional content generally, that's okay, that's your prerogative, you're allowed to not like things, but it doesn't justify you demonizing and attacking an entire nation of people as well as the related mediums. And on top of that, if you're going to create this standard for other people where in the video she says if a character's under 18 and sexualized,
other cultures have different standards, and you trying to police it as a white woman that lives in Europe and Ireland is insanely cringe.
So it's bad to judge inferior aspects of other cultures. Now, on this exact moment, right when your weeaboo land is being attacked, is when you suddenly draw the line? Are we now not allowed to criticize Indian culture for having festivals where they throw shit at each other? Are we not allowed to criticize South Korean culture for having a toxic entertainment industry and for their obsession with plastic surgery? You do realize this is the kind of woke shit that a lot of the sensitive lefties would say, and now you have adopted their exact methods. It's pretty obvious that the reason both Rev and this other VTuber say this is because of Lolicon. They don't mind Japan being criticized for its other societal and cultural issues, but they will be offended when you criticize the fact that drawn CP is allowed there. Just because it's considered okay in Japan doesn't mean it's considered okay in other places. Slavery is considered acceptable in the United Arab Emirates, but no one in the West supports that. Are those people now racist and privileged for not tolerating Arab cultural standards? I believe that not all cultures are equal, and if Japanese culture is one that allows John CP and has a lenient policy towards pedophiles and in general allows all of this weird shit, then you know what? I think it's inferior to Western culture. Oh shit! Блять! 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 Сука! Yeah. This tastes pretty good. Oh Jesus Christ, I have to fucking clean all this shit up, man! Why the fuck did that beer have to explode everywhere? Now granted, the person they are reacting to has posted weird AI-generated art and wants UN to ban content that she believes is harmful to women and girls, which sounds similar to women like Zoe Quinn and Brianna Wu trying to get the UN to do something about Gamergate, but still, the points that Ref and this other streamer make are completely shit. Going back to the Vice documentary reaction, I want to point out that Kirsha is a massive hypocrite, because earlier in the video, she mentions that she finds child beauty pageants creepy, which is an objectively correct take. Those events are built on sexualizing kids.
Like even before all the current year stuff, I've always felt that like child beauty pageants were kind of grotesque.
Oh, those are horrible.
Yeah, it's very weird to like doll up a child in like a image of a sexualized doll, for lack of a better word here.
Yeah.
And then parade them around on a stage.
But despite her supposedly high knowledge on why lolicon is in CP, she doesn't know about the many problems in Japanese society that make it unsafe for children. Now, my speculation is that the reason why Kirsha defends lolicon is not because she's attracted to kids, I hope, but because she sees this as a slippery slope issue, which, funnily enough, is the same excuse that the king of lolicon, Rev Says Desu, uses.
Now, of course, this is a lolly character, so when people on Twitter see censorship of lolly characters, they cheer. And of course, as we always point out, that is a slippery slope, okay? When you start excusing censorship of things you personally don't like or find weird, it often continues until it starts censoring things that you do care about. It's a very slippery slope.
I think that is an objectively stupid opinion, because again, there is a difference between enjoying violence in video games and enjoying drawings of children being sexualized or raped. It's like saying that censoring people who spout Islam extremist ideas is a slippery slope because it's going to lead to more moderate political opinions being censored, and eventually you're not going to be able to criticize the government. When that's not the case, because other, more moderate political opinions don't involve condoning and outright supporting the destruction of Western liberal democratic values. Now, let's address the go-to lolicon argument of it's just a drawing, it doesn't harm real children more in depth. While lolicon material doesn't hurt children directly, it does act as a gateway for degenerates to justify their sexual attraction to minors. This material is clearly pornographic, the people who defend it have made pornographic material a part of their online identity and are nothing short of porn addicts, and studies have shown that porn consumption has a negative impact on the human psyche and correlates with increased sexual aggression. Just as normal pornography increases sexual aggression, similar material like lolicon also increases sexual aggression. The best example I can use to prove my point comes from a video by the YouTuber Harmful Opinions, where he talked about a lolicon YouTuber called Bitty Cat VA. Now, what kind of content did this person produce, you might be wondering? Well, it's not as much content as it is an assault on the human psyche.
She does seem to have been reasonably popular. Some of her recordings that are publicly available have tens of thousands of listens. Let's hear a sample.
Child porn. And so much of it. Every link I click just leads to more. Is that real? It's just a baby.
Okay, Jesus Christ. I will not in any way be showing you how to reach the communities she says she fell in love with.
Never has the collective human psyche crumbled as hard as when this video was released. I mean, let's just have a look at these video titles. So we got P-word assisted rape, age play, age mention, extreme. Picked up after school, age play, age mention, extreme. Helpful daughter, age play, age mention, extreme. P-word futa mommy, age play, age mention, extreme. And P-girlfriend age play, age mention, extreme. And every one of the descriptions is, I know your people cock is itching for a little girl's voice. I'm gonna fucking kill myself after this, I swear to fucking God. So this fucking freak literally produces content that glorifies and endorses pedophilia, but apparently I'm the bad guy for wanting to see them castrated. Harmful Opinions also reveals that BittyCat VA had a server on a platform called Element, and he was able to provide screenshots of messages from one of their chat rooms. Keep in mind, unlike the other chat rooms in the server, this one wasn't encrypted. So just imagine what they were talking about in the others.
Just yesterday was having nice fantasy goon chat with a lady P, and we were fantasizing about having a baby and letting me F it. Oh, that's hot, says Yuya Stan. Nice, says No Name. Bro and I were looking at hentai like that. To have a P woman let you use her child is definitely a top fantasy. My GFs fantasized about S-ing toddler D, says Yuya. Admin Blake says, enjoying a woman being as degen as you is great. This is just all fantasy though, right? In Minecraft, haha. Well, Yuya clarified for them all. She's attracted to Shota, but she represses it. Like she's admitted to being very tempted while changing kids at her job, but she tends to not talk about her likes. I can be unfiltered about mine with her though.
This is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. People who like content which gratifies and condones pedophilia also want to fuck actual kids. Oh my god, what are you gonna tell me next? That water isn't dry? So as you can see, the classic lolicon defense of it's just a drawing, it's fantasy, it's fiction, it's just a bunch of bullshit cope. Because 99.999% of these people do have an actual sexual attraction to minors and are using this material to enact their sickest, darkest desires. I don't think it's a controversial take that there should be a zero tolerance policy towards any kind of sexualization of children, both drawn and real life, because that is a symptom of a very ill society. But anyway guys, that is the end of this very epic commentary video. Thank you all so much for watching and for all of your support. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, turn notifications on. Please comment because it really helps me out in the algorithm. Also, join my Discord server and follow me on the cesspit known as Twitter. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.
She back to the bone. Wait, these niggas watching. I swear to God, they be my clothes. Switching my hoes like my flows. Switching my flows like my clothes. Keep on shooting that gun, no reload.